Welcome to Nothing But the Truth. I'm Trudy Stern. For more than a century, New York has been America's economic engine. It is the financial capital of the world, home to Wall Street, renowned universities, incredible cultural institutions, and generations of people who came here believing that if you could make it in New York, you could make it anywhere. But today, many New Yorkers are asking some difficult questions. Is New York still living up to that promise? Since 2020, New York has lost nearly 250,000 residents, while much of the rest of the country has continued to grow. Businesses and families have relocated to states like Florida and Texas in search of lower taxes, fewer regulations, and a more affordable quality of life. Education tells a similar story. New York spends more per student than any state in America, nearly 32,000 per child. Yet student performance remains around the national average in reading and below average in math. At the same time, concerns about affordability, public safety, and the overall direction of our state continue to dominate conversations across New York. Governor Kathy Hochul's endorsement of Zohran Mamdani marked a significant shift in New York politics. The Democratic Socialists of America have moved from the political fringe into the political mainstream of New York. New York City now has a DSA mayor. This year's congressional primaries saw multiple Mamdani-backed candidates prevail, including victories over incumbent members of Congress, signaling a growth and a growing influence within New York Democratic politics. Critics argue that this shift is making New York State less attractive to businesses, investors, entrepreneurs, and property owners. When employers leave, they don't just take headquarters with them, they take jobs, investment, and opportunity, affecting middle-class families across this state. They also warn that housing policies that discourage investment in apartment buildings ultimately reduce the quality and availability of housing over time. Whether you see this as progress or a cause of concern, one thing is very clear. New York is at a crossroads. Since 2020, nearly 250,000 more people have left New York than have moved here. The choices New Yorkers make over the next several years will determine whether our state regains its position as the nation's premier place to live, work, build a business, and raise a family, or whether more people, businesses, and opportunities continue to leave. My guest today is Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, who is seeking to become New York's next governor. Since taking office in 2022, Bruce Blakeman has made public safety, fiscal responsibility, and economic growth the cornerstones of his administration. Under his leadership, Nassau County has been recognized as one of the safest counties in America by U.S. News and World Report. He has also highlighted no property tax increases during his tenure, along with multiple county bond rating upgrades as evidence of his administration's fiscal management. Now, Bruce Blakeman is taking that record to the statewide stage, arguing that New York can once again become a place where families, businesses, entrepreneurs, and employers choose to stay, invest, and build their futures. Today, we'll hear his vision for New York, what he believes has gone wrong, and more importantly, what he would do to restore the prosperity, safety, educational excellence, and economic opportunity that once made New York the undisputed Empire State. It is my pleasure to welcome County Executive Bruce Blakeman, my very dear friend, to Nothing But the Truth.
Thank you very much, Trudy. I think that you set forth the case against Kathy Hochul's reelection. So what you've said is absolutely true. We've lost hundreds of thousands of people. We've lost hundreds of thousands of jobs over the last 4 years. So right now, New York is the most overtaxed state in the United States of America. We have surpassed California as the highest tax in the whole United States. We are the most overregulated state in the United States. That's why businesses don't want to come here. It's too difficult to do business in Kathy Hochul's New York. And our electric bills are 70% higher than the national average because of failed policies like the green energy scam and not extracting our natural gas that we have in abundance here in New York State. And worst of all, Kathy Hochul is the most pro criminal governor in the United States. Cashless bail, raise the age, the HOLT Act have all made it easier for criminals to prey on our communities. So Kathy Hochul gets straight Fs. As you indicated, U.S. News and World Report said my county is the safest county in America. Now, this is a county larger than 8 states in population. I hired over 900 new law enforcement professionals, new ones. Kathy Hochul has given $5 billion to Zohran Mamdani, and she bailed him out without him having to decrease spending by 1 penny. So let's look at the statistics. New York State's budget is twice the size of the state of Florida, and there's 4 million more people in Florida.
I
How
did
could
not
that
know that.
possibly be?
I did not know that. That is an unbelievable fact. Could you state that once again?
New York State's budget is twice the size of the state of Florida. Okay? Twice the size, and there's 4 million more people in Florida.
Wait a minute.
New York City's budget
Wait, Bruce, and in Florida, you do
is
not
larger
pay
than the
taxes.
state of Florida.
You don't pay taxes in Florida, right? No state taxes, and yet they're
There's
still
no
able to
state
do it.
income tax in Florida. And there's no inheritance tax. Now, I went to visit my son in Florida recently, and they live pretty good in Florida. And that's why people have fled our state to Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Arizona, because it's too hard to do business here. It's too hard to live here. And now Kathy Hochul is aligned with Zohran Mamdani, who's a communist. He's anti-American. He's anti-Semitic. He's anti-Christian. He's anti-immigrant, unless it's the right type of immigrant. So these are issues that have put New York at a tipping point. We can't afford 4 more years of Kathy Hochul and 3 more years of Zohran Mamdani together, because Kathy Hochul is completely subservient to Zohran Mamdani, who runs the Democratic Party in New York State now. And every day, Trudy, Democrats walk up to me like a woman. She's 65 years old. The only reason I know that is she told me. She said, I'm 65 years old. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm voting Republican this year. I'm voting for you. I'm voting straight Republican. My party is nuts. I have never voted for a Republican. I am ashamed of my party. They don't stand for our values. This isn't the party of Daniel Patrick Moynihan. It's not the party of John F. Kennedy. This is a party now run by the lunatic wing of the Democratic Party, the Democrat Socialists, who have an agenda that's very, very anti-American. And we need a strong leader as governor who will keep Zohran Mamdani in check, and someone who knows how to balance a budget, and someone who knows how to create economic development and prosperity and create jobs, because people are miserable in New York. They're not happy. My job is to make them happy. And the last thing, Trudy, is Kathy Hochul has spent $11 billion of our taxpayer money on illegal migrants who've been here for 15 minutes. They're not New Yorkers. They're not Americans. And they get free food, free transportation, free housing, and a free cell phone. They get more than New Yorkers do. If you're a New Yorker in need, you get less than somebody who just came here and is in the sanctuary program. So on day one, New York will no longer be a sanctuary state with me as governor.
Well, this all sounds really great. What you've done in Nassau County is extraordinary also. I mean, Nassau County is a very large county. Can you contrast New York and what's going on there to what you've done in Nassau County?
So here are the facts. The demographics of my county, Nassau County, are virtually the same as the state of New York. So we're comparing apples to apples. My county is larger than 8 states. There's 110,000 more Democrats in Nassau County than Republicans. And I just won re-election in a Democrat county in a landslide by 12 points, by 36,000 votes, because I haven't raised taxes a penny in 4 years. As a matter of fact, I cut a $150 million tax increase. I've hired cops. The U.S. News and World Report says we're the safest county in America. We've brought businesses in. We've created economic development. And now the county, just the county, we're not even talking a state. My county right now has a larger GDP than 144 nations in the United Nations. And our housing prices are going up because the value is there. People want to live here. I can do that with New York State. We can bring back New York State. And I'm talking about every part of New York State, not just Long Island, not just New York City, not just the Hudson Valley, but all of New York State, the western part of the state, the southern tier, central New York, the capital area, the North Country. We can bring this state back and create an economic, vibrant state where good jobs and good benefits will be plentiful. But we have to change our tax policy. We can't have electric bills that are 70% higher than the national average. And we can't have unsafe communities. Nobody wants to live in unsafe communities.
That is very true. How would you change the tax structure?
Well, first of all, with respect to income tax, what my proposal is, and I have completely gone through this with economists and people who understand the tax structure of our state, I can cut taxes on joint filers by $100,000. In other words, your first $100,000 that you make as a joint filer are tax-free. So whether you make $100,000 or $70,000 or $2 million, your first $100,000, no taxes as a joint filer, and no taxes up to $50,000 if you're a single filer.
That would be really fabulous. Why is that? Like, if you could do that, how come Hochul isn't doing that?
Well, she's not doing it because basically has all these spending programs like energy scam that cost us billions of dollars. And she spent $8 billion of our money on illegal migrants. And basically, I would stop that on day one and spend it on our people, our New Yorkers, and cut their taxes and create infrastructure jobs and make better schools and better hospitals in our state. We're giving the money away from people who I said have been here for 15 minutes. No sense. In addition, we got one of the largest natural gas reserves in the world in New York State, and we don't extract that natural gas. We're losing on all of that revenue. We're losing on a large supply of energy that would bring our energy costs down, because if you increase the supply, you're going to lower the cost. And Kathy Hochul won't do that. There's so much fraud, waste, and abuse right now in our budget. We know there are programs where people are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to nothing. And you multiply that times 1,000, you're talking real money. And that's what we're talking about. There are thousands of programs right now that benefit nobody other than the political contributors of Kathy Hochul.
Right. Sort of like what happened in Minnesota.
It's definitely the same. It could be worse. We're finding out now that there's all kinds of scams going on, and I will end that. We will root it out. We will get control of our budget. We don't have a revenue problem in New York State. We have a spending problem. And when you're twice the budget of the state of Florida and you have 4 million less people, you know there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse.
Wow. Talk about education for a moment. New York spends nearly 32,000 per student, like the highest in the country. But yet student achievement ranks middle nationality. And with regard to math, we're below average. So what do you see happening with education? And also if you could talk about charter schools, which I think are really very beneficial.
Well, first of all, I'm a big supporter of public education. I'm a product of public education, both high school and university. But I think that parents should have a choice as to where they want to educate their child. So I'm in favor of tax credits and vouchers for religious schools, for private schools, and I'm a big supporter of charter schools because children learn in different ways, and not every school is good for your child that's a public school. So you have a public school choice. And by the way, we're failing with our public schools because we don't have the right priorities. We're not concentrating on core subjects. We're concentrating on indoctrinating our kids in anti-American values. We got to get back to core subjects. We've got to give parents more control over curriculum. Right now, the state has a curriculum that is not preparing our kids for the future. We have to invest more in charter schools, and I think we need vouchers and we need tax credits for people who want to educate their child in a religious setting. I think that would improve. Competition is good, especially in education.
Why do you think it's failing now?
As I said, I don't think that we have the right priorities. I think they're pushing a woke agenda. They're they've got a curriculum that doesn't prepare our kids for the future. And they're spending a tremendous amount of money, but they're getting very poor results because basically there's no accountability and there's no measurement. There's no key performance indicators. Like any organization or any business, you have to spend money based on whether it's cost efficient and whether it produces the result you want. And right now we're getting very poor results. It's because Kathy Hochul's Department of Education is a failure. I will fire the chancellor who want to educate our. We need competition. Religious schools, charter schools, private schools, they will provide competition, which will make public schools better.
Well, that brings me to my next question about businesses. So if you were sitting across the table from a CEO who's thinking about leaving New York, what would you tell him about how you would do things differently, and how would you convince him to stay?
Well, I would tell him help's on the way. January 1st, when I'm governor, it'll be a different business environment. We will welcome business in. We will help business. We will treat businesses like partners and not like the enemy. Kathy Hochul treats them like the enemy. Trudy, do you know that we are number 50, 50, dead last in economic outlook? We are the worst in economic outlook in the United States of America under Kathy Hochul. People are miserable. They want good jobs. They want good benefits, but she doesn't know how to create them. All she knows how to do is drive good businesses out of the state. So number one, I will welcome them. We will treat them as partners. We will work with them. I will create economic empire zones throughout the state whereby we will give incentives for businesses to create jobs. We will lower taxes, which businesses will love, and we'll cut utility bills in half. Businesses can't come into an environment where they're overtaxed, their utility bills are 70% higher than the national average. And that's why states like Pennsylvania are eating us for lunch because their utility bills are 70% less than ours, their taxes are less than ours, and they have a more friendly business environment.
Well, I think that what a lot of people might not understand or realize is that when corporations leave, they leave a lot of jobs that middle class were performing, support staff, the local restaurants around those companies also fail. It's not just the corporation itself, but all of the support people that are part of that. That could result in tens of thousands of jobs that are leaving because the corporate taxes are so high and so unfavorable to corporations.
Not only the corporations, but they're driving high net worth individuals out of our state. High net worth individuals are now the enemy of Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani, and they want to tax them more. Rich people have options that middle class people don't have. They can go to Texas, they can go to Florida, they can go to South Carolina. It's very easy for them to move because they have the money to do it. But when high net worth individuals leave, they take that tax revenue with them. So who's going to fill the gap? It's going to be the middle class taxpayers. And when they leave, who does it hurt? Carpenters, plumbers, electricians, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, dog walkers, florists, dry cleaners, cleaning services. When they leave, when businesses leave and high net worth individuals leave, as you said, it has a ripple effect that's deleterious to the economy and really hurts the middle class more than it does the rich people. So when they say tax the rich, tax the corporations, it sounds good, but it's a really bad idea because they'll find friendlier places to locate.
That is an amazing point that I think everyone listening has to really understand. Um, Moving on to one last question, because I know your time is really short. You're on the campaign trail, and we really value that you've come on with us tonight to share your feelings and your thoughts about New York and what you can do. Lastly, um, a vote for Governor Hochul is essentially a vote for Zoran Mamdani. Um, you know, and Zoran Mamdani has, I would think, have been somewhat measured and careful about his behavior because he understands that if he goes over the line, maybe he would alienate centrist Democrats from voting for Governor Hochul. How would you be able to deal with Zoran Mamdani and control the DSA, which now has so many candidates and so many members of the state assembly?
Well, that depends on them. If I'm governor, I am going to use my full power to put forth the agenda that got me elected: lower taxes, lower electric bills, and safer communities. So if they work with me on that, then we'll get along. But if they work against me, then we're going to have issues. And with respect to Zoran Mandami, I will not let him destroy the economy of New York. I will not let lawlessness prevail in New York City. And I have a lot of power as governor, and I will use that power to keep him in check if he's not upholding the law and he's not putting forth an economic policy that helps the city of New York rather than destroy the city of New York. And those are big concerns that I have. I've got issues with Zoran Mandami. I think he's anti-American. I think he's anti-Semitic. I think he's anti-Christian. So I got big problems with Zoran Mandami. But the dynamic of how we would be able to navigate government with him as mayor and me as governor depends a lot on him.
Well, I think that that's really, really important for everyone to understand because a lot of the promises that Mamdani made were things that he actually could not produce on, that it was really the role of the governor to be able to fulfill some of his ridiculous promises. So having somebody in the governor's seat who would be able to control and check that would be very helpful to all of us in New York who love the city and love the state and want to see it prosper. So, best of luck to you, Bruce, my good friend. And we really hope that that you win, and we hope that we will see good things for New York. Best of luck.
Well, thank you. The polling is really good. We're doing terrific. We got a lot of momentum and we're going to win. Thank you, Trudy.
To our listeners, thank you for joining us. This has been Nothing But the Truth with Trudy Stern. You can catch us every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. on the radio. But if you missed any part of this show or any other show and you want to listen to past episodes, you can find Nothing But the Truth wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and keep seeking nothing but the truth.